The afternoon sunlight casts dancing shadows as I trace my fingers over the yellowed parchment. The family tree sprawls across the brittle paper, its branches extending in all directions. But it's the gaps that draw my attention, dozens of them. Names that end abruptly, branches severed with no explanation. Just emptiness. My name is Eleanor Webb, and 2 weeks ago I inherited my grandmother's Victorian house in New England. I never imagined I would find myself here sorting through generations of family history. After Gran's funeral, the family lawyer handed me the keys and said, "She wanted you to have it. Only you." I didn't understand why. I'd only visited the house a handful of times as a child. My father had a falling out with Gran when I was young, and we rarely spoke of her afterward. When I asked why, he would tense up and mutter, "Some family is better kept at a distance." Now, at 32, with both my parents gone and no siblings, I found myself the reluctant custodian of a legacy I barely understood. The house itself is a looming 3-story Victorian, its steep roofs and narrow windows looming over the outskirts of a small coastal town called Ravens Hollow. Local legends say the town was founded by people fleeing the witch trials of the 1700s. Whether that's true or not, there's something undeniably eerie about the place. The locals are polite but distant, casting curious glances at me since I arrived. I trace my finger along one of the branches of the Webb family tree, following it to one of those mysterious gaps. Elizabeth Webb, born 1887, and then nothing. No death date, no mention of children, just gone. "What happened to you?" I whisper to the paper. Half expecting an answer, a floorboard creaks behind me and I jump, nearly knocking over the lamp on the desk. It's just the house settling. I reassure myself, though an unsettling feeling lingers. This week, I found strange things. Hidden compartments in the walls filled with old letters, photographs with faces scratched out, and Gran's journals, each one filled with cryptic references to a family burden and the need to keep the bloodline pure. Today I discovered this family tree tucked behind a false panel in the library. It's the most complete record I have found so far, dating back to the 1700s. But these gaps, they can't all be coincidences. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Dr. Harrison, the local historian I've been consulting. "Found something in town records about your family. Call me." I dial his number and he picks up on the second ring. "Eleanor," he says, "I was going through some old census data and noticed something strange about the Webbs." "Let me guess," I reply. "People disappearing without explanation." "Yes, exactly," he says, sounding surprised. "How did you know?" I tell him about the family tree. "It's not just 1 or 2 people, Dr. Harrison. It's dozens across generations." "That's unusual," he says carefully. "I also found references to something called the preservation in connection with your family. Does that mean anything to you?" Gran's journals flash in my mind. Maybe I need to look into it more. "Thank you for letting me know," I say before hanging up. I return to the family tree, studying it more closely. This time I notice something I missed before: small symbols next to certain names. A circle with a dot in the center, always beside people who disappeared. The doorbell rings, startling me again. I open the door to find an elderly woman standing on the porch, leaning on a cane. "You must be Eleanor," she says. "I'm Margaret Winters. I was friends with your grandmother." I invite her in, and she settles into an armchair, her eyes darting around the room as though searching for something. "I came to warn you," she says without preamble. "This house, it has secrets. Secrets that should stay buried." "What kind of secrets?" I ask, thinking of the family tree. Margaret's eyes lock onto mine. mother was a keeper like her mother before her. It's in your blood too, I expect. A keeper of what I ask. She shakes her head. I've said too much already. Just be careful what doors you open here. Some were closed for a reason. She stands abruptly. I should go. They wouldn't like me talking to you. Who wouldn't like it, I ask, but she's already heading for the door. If you start hearing the humming, she says over her shoulder, cover your ears and run. Don't listen no matter how beautiful it sounds. And with that, she's gone, leaving me with more questions than answers. That night I dream of dark corridors and whispered voices. I wake up at 3:17 a.m., sweating despite the chill in the room. My bedroom door is open, though I'm certain I closed it before going to bed. I get up to close it, and as I reach for the handle, I hear a faint humming coming from somewhere deep within the house. A melody that's almost familiar, yet not quite human. Margaret's warning echoes in my mind. If you start hearing the humming, cover your ears and run. But instead of running, I grab my phone for light and step into the hallway. The humming grows louder as I move toward the stairs. It's coming from below. The stairs creak under my weight as I descend to the first floor. The humming leads me to the library where I found the family tree, but it doesn't stop there. It seems to be coming from below the floor. I run my hands along the baseboards, looking for anything unusual. In the corner behind a heavy bookcase, I find a small indentation in the wood. When I press it, there's a click, and a section of the floor slides away, revealing a narrow staircase leading into darkness. The humming is definitely coming from down there. Common sense tells me to call someone to wait until morning. But something pulls at me a need to know to understand what happened to all those missing relatives. I shine my phone light down the stairs. They're made of stone worn smooth from countless feet. How old is this passage? And how did I miss it during my explorations of the house? Taking a deep breath, I begin to descend. The air grows colder with each step, carrying a musty metallic scent. The humming stops, abruptly replaced by a silence so complete it presses against my eardrums. At the bottom of the stairs, a heavy wooden door with an iron handle waits. No lock, no markings, just waiting to be opened. I hesitate, Margaret's warning still ringing in my ears, but I've come this far. I pull the handle and the door swings open with surprising ease. Beyond lies a cellar larger than the house above. My phone's light barely penetrates the darkness, but I can make out stone walls lined with shelves and laboratory equipment scattered across tables in the center of the room. I step inside and the door slams shut behind me with a heavy thud. I spin around, heart racing, but there's no handle on this side, just smooth wood. Trapped, I try not to panic. Turning back to the room, I notice a switch on the wall. I flip it, and ancient electric lights sputter to life, harshly illuminating the cellar. What I see makes my blood run cold. The room is indeed a laboratory, but not like any I've ever seen. Along the walls are shelves packed with glass jars, each containing what looks like organs and tissue samples. Every jar is carefully labeled with names and dates. My trembling hands move towards the nearest shelf. The jar at eye level is labeled Elizabeth Webb, 1887. Cerebrum. Elizabeth from the family tree, the one with no death date. I move along the shelf reading the labels. Thomas Webb, 1912. Mary Webb, 1943. All the names from the gaps in the family tree. In the center of the room stands a large stone table, its surface darkly stained with what I fear is blood. Leather restraints hang from each corner. Beside it, a smaller table holds surgical instruments that look both ancient and modern, syringes, vials, and a centrifuge. On a desk in the corner, I find stacks of notebooks. The handwriting changes over decades, but the purpose seems constant. I open the most recent one dated just a year before Gran died. Subject 147 shows promising adaptation to the serum. Cellular regeneration improved by 42% compared to subject 146. The preservation continues to advance, though slower than our ancestors hoped. With each generation, we come closer to the ultimate goal, true immortality. I flip through more pages, horrified yet unable to stop reading. The notebooks detail experiments spanning centuries carried out on family members who showed signs of what they called the gift. Those without it were allowed to live normal lives, marry, have children, continuing the bloodline in hopes of producing more with the gift. Those who had it were brought to this cellar. A noise from behind makes me whirl around. A panel in the wall has slid open, revealing another room. In the doorway stands a figure I recognize from old photographs, my great-uncle Walter, who supposedly died 30 years ago. But he doesn't look 90. He looks maybe 60, his face unnaturally smooth for his age. "Eleanor," he rasps, his voice hoarse from disuse. "We've been waiting for you to find your way down here. Your grandmother was certain you had the gift." "Uncle Walter." I take a step back until I hit the desk. "You're alive, in a manner of speaking." He steps fully into the room, and I see his movements are stiff, unnatural. The preservation is not perfect yet. We sustain ourselves, but at a cost. What cost, I ask, though? I fear I know the answer. The specimens you see around you, he gestures to the jars, are failed attempts, parts that couldn't be repurposed. My stomach churns. You've been experimenting on our family, killing them. Not killing Walter corrects. Preserving what makes us special. The gift is rare even in our bloodline. When we find one who has it, we must harvest it for the greater work. What gift? Regeneration, healing, longevity. Some in our family are born with cells that can repair themselves indefinitely. The first Webb to discover this was Josiah in 1764. He dedicated his life to understanding it, to replicating it. Every generation since has continued his work, including Gran. My voice catches. Especially your grandmother. She was brilliant. Made more progress in her lifetime than the previous 3 generations combined. He steps toward me. And she was certain you inherited the gift. That's why she left you the house. She wanted you to continue her work. By experimenting on people killing family members, I shake my head in disbelief. I would never... You misunderstand, Walter interrupts. We don't seek out those with the gift to harm them. His smile sends a shiver down my spine. We seek them out to welcome them into the inner family, to make them like us. And what exactly are you, I ask, though part of me wishes I hadn't. Walter's smile widens, revealing teeth that are too perfect, too white, improved, enhanced. The closest thing to immortality this world has ever seen. From the room behind him, more figures emerge, men and women of various ages, all with that same unnatural smoothness to their skin, that same stiffness to their movements. I recognize some from family photographs. My great-aunt Judith, my second cousin Thomas, and my father. My voice is barely a whisper. Tears well in my eyes. The man who looks like my father meets my gaze, his eyes cold. "Hello, Eleanor," he says, his voice flat. "It's been a long time." "You're not my father," I say, backing away, the tears blurring my vision. "My father is dead. I buried him." "You buried a body," he corrects, his voice colder still. I left when I realized what your grandmother planned for you. I tried to keep you away from all this. But in the end, blood calls to blood. What do you want from me, I demand, trying to keep my voice steady. We want you to join us, Walter says. To become part of the preservation. Your grandmother tested your blood when you were a child. You have the strongest markers for the gift we've seen in generations. And if I refuse, the room falls silent. Walter sighs. No one refuses, Eleanor. This is your heritage, your destiny. I glance around frantically looking for a way out. The door I came through is sealed. The group, whatever they are, blocks the other exit. Then I spot something, a small red button under the desk, partially hidden. An alarm, a different exit. Either way, it's my only chance. I need time. I need time, I say, trying to sound reasonable. To process all this. It's a lot to take in. Walter exchanges glances with the others. Of course we've waited decades. We can wait a little longer. He gestures to the notebooks. Read your grandmother's research. Understand the importance of what we're doing here. The preservation isn't just about extending our lives. It's about elevating humanity. As he speaks, I inch my hand toward the button. My fingers brush it just as Walter's eyes narrow in suspicion. What are you? I slam my palm down on the button. For a moment, nothing happens. Then a high-pitched wailing fills the cellar and the lights flash red. The floor trembles beneath my feet. No Walter screams lunging toward me. But he's too late. The ceiling cracks and chunks of stone begin to fall. The others scatter, screaming. I dive under the desk as a support beam crashes down where I was standing. What have you done? Walter shouts over the alarm. You've triggered the purge protocol. The what? I yell back. If the cellar is compromised, he roars. Everything is destroyed. Your grandmother installed it as a failsafe. The room shakes violently, debris raining down. The shelves of specimens topple, glass shattering across the floor. I watch as Walter and the others retreat through the hidden door, abandoning me to my fate. Water begins pouring in from cracks in the walls. No, not water. It smells like gasoline. I need to get out, now. I scramble from under the desk, sprinting toward the hidden door, dodging falling debris. The gasoline is already ankle deep, and I can see sparks from damaged electrical wires. I reach the door just as it begins to close. I throw myself forward, barely making it through the doorway before it seals shut with a hiss. I'm in a narrow tunnel dimly lit by emergency lights. Behind me I hear a whoosh, followed by the intense heat of the gasoline igniting. The explosion shakes the tunnel violently. I run blindly, pushing forward as the tunnel slopes upward. After what feels like an eternity, I reach another door. I push it open and stumble into the night air, gasping. The woods behind the house are silent, but the chaos behind me is undeniable. From where I stand, I see flames shooting from the ground floor windows as the fire climbs higher from the cellar. In the distance, I hear the wail of sirens. Someone must have seen the blaze. I should wait for help. Tell them everything, but something tells me they wouldn't believe me. And if any of those things survived, they might be looking for me. I need to leave to figure out what to do next. As I turn to flee into the woods, I feel a cold, clammy hand grip my ankle. I scream and kick, looking down to see Walter's half-burned face still moving, still alive, despite the injuries that should have killed him. The gift. He gasps, his fingers digging into my skin. You have it too, he whispers hoarsely. I can feel it. You'll heal like we do. Join us, Eleanor. Continue the work. I kick free of his grasp and stagger backward. Never. This ends with me. Walter laughs, a horrible rasping sound from his burned throat. It never ends, he coughs. The preservation goes back centuries. We have contingencies, other labs, other branches of the family. My blood runs cold. What do you mean, other branches? His body twitches unnaturally as the healing process begins to repair his burns. Your grandmother wasn't the only keeper, he says, each word tinged with cruel amusement. The Webb family is vast with many gaps in its history. Many cellars like this one. I back away, shaking my head in disbelief. I'll find them. I'll stop all of you. Walter's laugh turns into a fit of coughing as his damaged lungs struggle. You can try. He takes a step toward me, his body still jerking in strange movements. But first you'd better run, because when I finish healing, I'm coming for you. And I'm not the only one. I turn and sprint into the woods, not daring to look back, as the house that held my family's darkest secrets burns to the ground behind me. I run until my lungs burn and my legs threaten to give out. When I finally stop to catch my breath, I pull out my phone. No signal out here in the woods. I need to get to town to warn someone. Though who would believe me now? I have no proof, just the ravings of a woman who claims her family has been conducting immortality experiments for centuries. As I lean against a tree trying to figure out what to do next, I notice something strange. A cut on my hand from climbing through the tunnel is already scabbing over. A cut that should still be fresh and bleeding. It's healing too fast. I think of Walter's words. You have it too. You'll heal like we do. The gift. Whatever it is, whatever they've been chasing all these years, I might have it. No, I refuse to accept that I'm like them, that I'm destined to become one of those hollow-eyed, stiff-moving creatures who sacrifice their own for the sake of prolonging their unnatural lives. But if I do have this ability, I can use it. I can stay ahead of them. I can find the other labs Walter mentioned. I can end this once and for all. I push off from the tree and begin walking toward the distant lights of the town. As I walk, I think about the family tree with all its mysterious gaps. Now I know what those gaps represent, not deaths, but transformations. People taken to become part of the inner family, their organs and tissues harvested if they failed, their minds warped if they survived. I wonder how many other family trees have similar gaps. How many other families harbor secrets as dark as the Webbs now? By dawn, I reach the outskirts of town. I steal into a small motel, paying cash for a room under a false name. Inside, I examine myself in the bathroom mirror. The cut on my hand is completely healed. Not even a scar remains. Now that I'm looking for it, I notice other small injuries, a bruise on my arm from hitting the desk, a scrape on my cheek from debris, all healing before my eyes. I do have it. The gift. I sink to the bathroom floor, tears streaming down my face. What am I? What am I becoming? No, I am still Eleanor Webb. I will not be defined by my DNA, by my family's twisted legacy. I will use whatever abilities I have to stop them, not join them. I take a long, hot shower, washing away the soot and grime from the cellar. Then I sit down with the motel's complimentary notepad and begin writing everything I can remember from the notebooks I saw, names, dates, locations that might lead to other labs. I need to be methodical. I need to be careful. The inner family, as Walter called them, has had centuries to establish themselves to hide their work. They won't be easy to find or to stop. But I have something they don't expect, one of their own, working against them. As I write, another thought strikes me. If my father was one of them, was my mother too? Was I born or created as part of their experiments? I push the thought aside. Doesn't matter now. What matters is stopping them before they can continue their work. Before more names disappear from more family trees, a soft knock at my door makes me freeze. I wait, barely breathing. The knock comes again, followed by a whispered, "Eleanor." It's Margaret Winters. "Please, I know you're in there. I want to help." I approach the door cautiously. "How did you find me?" "I've been watching the house," she says, her voice muffled through the door. "I saw the fire, saw you escape. Please let me in. We don't have much time." I hesitate, then unlock the door. Margaret slips inside, looking even more frail in the harsh motel lighting. "You opened the cellar," she says. "It's not a question." I nod. "You knew about it all along," I say. "I was supposed to be part of it," she says, sitting heavily on the edge of the bed. "Your grandmother and I grew up together. When we were teenagers, they tested us both. She had the gift. I didn't. So they let you go," I say, understanding now. "Not exactly," she murmurs. "They keep people like me around as watchers, as helpers. People who know enough to be useful, but not enough to be dangerous." She meets my gaze, her eyes resolute. "Until now. Now I'm choosing to be dangerous. Why help me? Because I've watched for 70 years as they took people, good people, down to that cellar. I've helped cover up disappearances, spread stories about accidents and illnesses." Her hands twist in her lap. "I'm tired of being part of it, Eleanor. And when I saw you, you reminded me so much of your grandmother before the preservation consumed her, before she became one of them." "What exactly are they?" I ask, my voice trembling. Walter said, "They're not quite immortal, but they call themselves the Preserved. Their bodies heal, but their minds, something happens to them over time. They lose their humanity piece by piece. The older ones, the ones who've been around for centuries, they're barely human at all anymore." A chill runs down my spine. "They want me to become like them." "You're special," Margaret continues, her voice low, "even among those with the gift. Your grandmother's tests showed that your cells have an unusually strong regenerative capacity. That's why she left you the house. Why she made sure you'd find your way to the cellar eventually. So it was all a setup, the inheritance, everything." Margaret nods. "But the fire wasn't part of the plan. The purge protocol was only supposed to be used if outsiders discovered the cellar. Your grandmother never imagined you would trigger it." "I didn't know what it would do," I say, my voice strained. "I just needed to escape." "Well, you've bought us some time. The fire will have destroyed most of the evidence, and many of the Preserved who were there will be severely injured. It'll take them time to heal, to regroup." She looks down, her eyes thoughtful. "Walter said there are other labs, other branches of the family." "Yes," Margaret confirms. "The Webbs are just one branch of what they call the family tree. There are others with different names, but the same goal. The preservation of their bloodlines, the pursuit of immortality." I pull out the list of locations I remembered from the notebooks. "Do you know which of these might lead to other labs?" She studies the list, her finger tracing over the names. Then she points to several towns. These places all have Webb relatives or relatives of the other branches. "Start with these. Will you come with me?" I ask, hopeful. Margaret shakes her head. "I'm too old, too slow. I'd only hold you back, but I can give you resources, money contacts who might help." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a thick envelope. "Take this. It's everything I've saved over the years. I always knew someday I'd need to make amends for my part in all this." I hesitate before accepting the envelope. "Thank you. But what will you do now? They'll know you helped me." "Don't worry about me," she says with a grim smile. "I've lived a long life already, longer than I deserved, given what I've enabled." She She stands to leave, then turns back. "One more thing, Eleanor," she says quietly. "The gift, it comes with a price. The more you heal, the more you use it, the more you'll start to change. Be careful. Don't become what you're fighting against." After Margaret leaves, I count the money in the envelope. Nearly $30,000 in cash. Along with it, there's a list of names and addresses, people she says might help me, and a small key with no indication of what it opens. Over the next few days, I gather supplies, a used car with cash, a prepaid phone, clothes, and other necessities. I research the towns on my list, searching for patterns, for signs of the preserved presence. All the while, I keep checking my body for signs of change. The gift is active. Small injuries heal within hours, but mentally, I feel the same. Not like the cold, hollow-eyed creatures I saw in the cellar. Not yet, anyway. 1 week after the fire, I'm ready to leave Raven's Hollow. I've chosen my first destination, a small town in the Midwest, where, according to my research, several Webb cousins live. It's as good a place as any to start unraveling this conspiracy. As I pack my car, I notice a black sedan parked across the street, its windows tinted. I pretend not to see it as I finish loading my bags, but my heart races. They found me. I get into my car and pull out of the motel parking lot, watching in the rearview mirror as the sedan follows at a distance. Instead of heading for the highway, I drive toward the center of town, making random turns, trying to lose my tail. The sedan stays with me, maintaining the same distance. Whoever is driving knows what they're doing. I decide to confront them. I pull into the parking lot of a busy diner and get out, standing beside my car, waiting. The sedan parks a few spaces away. The driver's door opens and a woman steps out. Young, maybe mid-20s, with features that remind me somehow of my own. Eleanor Webb, she calls, staying beside her car. "Who's asking?" I reply, tense, ready to run if necessary. "My name is Sophia Blackwood. I believe we're cousins, several times removed." She takes a step forward, then stops when I back away. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm like you, a runner, not one of the preserved." "Prove it," I demand. Sophia rolls up her sleeve, revealing an arm crisscrossed with scars. "I cut out my tracker 5 years ago. The preserved embed them in all family members with the gift. You probably have one too." I instinctively touch my left forearm, remembering the small scar I've had since childhood. A vaccination, my parents told me. Sophia nods. "A lie. They implant those trackers when you're young. It's how they keep tabs on us." I step back, processing this. "And you're not one of them?" "No," she says, her voice steady. "I've been running for years. The preserved are dangerous, but not all of us are. We have to stick together." I don't know whether to trust her, but something in her eyes convinces me she's telling the truth. "How do I know you're not working with them?" "I'm not," she assures me. "I'm here to help. The Webb family. We're not all like them. We can fight this." I look her over one last time, then nod. "Okay. Let's figure out what to do next." "How did you find me then?" I ask, my voice barely steady. "Margaret Winters contacted me before she died." My blood runs cold. Before she what? Sophia's expression softens, a sadness in her eyes. "I'm sorry." "She took her own life the day after she met with you. Left a note exposing everything she knew about the Webb branch of the preservation." The words hit me like a blow to the chest. Margaret, another name to add to the toll of this nightmare. The local authorities dismissed it as the ravings of a disturbed old woman. Sophia continues, her tone growing more serious. But the preserved know better. I swallow, my throat dry. "Margaret?" I think of her warning, her cryptic message, and the way she slipped away from my life so suddenly. "Why should I trust you?" I ask, suspicion lacing my voice. "Because I've been where you are," Sophia replies, her voice steady. "I discovered my family's secret when I was 20. I've been running ever since, looking for others like us. There are more, Elainer. More who want to stop the preservation, not further it. Others with the gift. I blink, feeling a flicker of hope deep within me. More people who want to stop this. The idea is almost too much to believe. Sophia nods. We call ourselves the Severed Branches. We use what we are to fight what they do. For the first time since I opened that cellar door, I feel a faint sense of purpose stirring in my chest. There are others. How many of you are there, I ask, trying to steady my breath. Not many, she answers. Dozens scattered across the country. The preserved are powerful with resources we can only dream of. But we're growing, finding more like you. Family members who reject what their relatives have become. I think of Walter's burned face, the fire has promised to find me, and the other labs, other branches of this twisted family tree. I feel the weight of my question, knowing that the answer could be the key to everything. What's your plan, I ask. How do we stop them? We find their labs like you were planning to do, Sophia says. We document everything, build a case that can't be ignored or dismissed, and then we take it public. All of it. Every horrible detail. But they'll just disappear, I point out. Go deeper underground. Sophia shakes her head, her eyes hard with resolve. Not if we cut off their supply. The gift is rare even in the bloodlines they cultivate. If we can identify those who have it and protect them, the preserved will eventually die out. I pause, the idea taking root in my mind. It sounds too simple, too easy. But then I voice my hesitation. It sounds too simple. Sophia meets my gaze, her expression unwavering. I didn't say it would be easy, she replies. Just possible with your help. I study her face, searching for any trace of deception. But all I see is the same determination. I feel the same horror at what our families have done. If I come with you, I say slowly, I need to know everything. No more secrets, no more secrets. She agrees without hesitation. Get in your car and follow me. Our safe house is about 2 hours from here. I'll explain everything on the way. As I drive behind Sophia's sedan, heading away from Raven's Hollow and the burned ruins of my grandmother's house, my thoughts turn to the family tree I found with all its mysterious gaps. Now I know what those gaps represent. Choices. Some chose to preserve their humanity at the cost of their lives. Others chose extended life at the cost of their souls. I don't know yet if I can trust Sophia or these severed branches she speaks of, but I do know that I've made my choice. Whatever this gift is, whatever it might turn me into, I will use it to expose the truth, to stop the preservation, to fill in those gaps with the stories of those who were taken. The road stretches ahead, leading away from the ruins of my past and toward an uncertain future. But for the first time since I opened that cellar door, I feel something like purpose. I will find every branch of this twisted family tree. I will open every hidden cellar. I will bring their secrets into the light. And perhaps in doing so, I'll discover who and what I truly am.